Welcome to the Jodiff Entertainment channel. I hope everyone is having a good day. Today, in this video, I will be doing a deck profile of my Dracotail Magistus deck that I took to Locals this past Saturday. I did go 5-0. Technically, one of those rounds was a bye. Before I get to the deck, let me go ahead and just real quick go through my matchups. So, round 1 was a bye. Round 2, I played against B Trooper, which he was main decking Retaliating Sea, so that card can be that card can be trouble for Dracotail. I'm sure if you're watching, if any of the viewers are that are watching this video, if you've played Dracotail, I'm sure you know Retaliating Sea can be quite annoying. There are ways to play around it, and I did win that match. And then round 3 was Yummy Mitsu, which I don't really have a lot of comments. It was a pretty simple, easy win. I think he did go first as well, but I just had all the cards to be able to get it done going second. And then I think game 2, surprisingly, he had the pre-prep, and that was really the only starter, and I had the Psyframe Lambda. I think that's its name, or it might have a different name, I'm not sure. But the one that negates spells, and that was it. Basically, he just scooped it up at that point because he knew that I had enough to just win on the next turn when I was going second. So then that was 3-0, and then round 4 was Labyrinth, which I believe it was a 2-1, and he was main decking D barrier and doing all of the different trap shenanigans that Labyrinth does, but I did get that. I did end up winning that round. And then the final round was Mermail Atlantean. He went first, and I had Fuelos, and Fuelos against that deck, even if they have the I forget its name, the one that can look in the hand, and he decided to try to combo through, and he didn't know that I was main decking, the Nibiru's and the Ghost Spells and the Veilers and everything, because not all Dracotail variants are main decking those. So, but I drew into Veiler, and he summoned the barrier statue. I Veilered the barrier statue, and I had Femina, and then I was just able to, from there, win game 1. Game 2, he went first again, and I believe I did end up winning game 2 as well, but I don't remember exactly. I don't remember exactly what happened. I might have had Fuelos in game 2 as well, which Fuelos carries, especially against Mermail. So that was the entire tournament. The deck felt exceptionally well. It performed well. And let's go ahead and get into the deck profile, and I'll explain some choices and maybe some things that I might want to change. So, and this is the first physical cards deck profile on the channel, so if you see anything in the video that you think I need to change, just let me know. So first, we got the 3 Lucius. Lucius is obviously you play 3 of it. It's not something that I think is debatable, so I'm not gonna talk about that very much. And then we have 3 Femina. Obviously not. It's undebatable. It's the best. It's arguably the best card in the deck. So Femina should be a 3 of always. And then we got 3 Malulu. Malulu is Dracotail name. He can negate monster effects, and it doesn't target. And then you can summon him, and if they have a Veil or Imperm, you can just use the effect on the next turn. So I think he's really good as a 3 of. I do side him out sometimes because I feel like going second sometimes, maybe if you don't have Femina, to get to fuse with him on the opponent's turn when they go first, he might not be the best. 3 Pans. I like this because he can destroy a monster. and his graveyard revival effect is a lot better than it seems like it is. So I do side out one a lot, but I do prefer three at least in the main deck to start with. You can brick on Pan, which I have discovered in online testing. So playing or siding out one of them, post game one is I recommend that. One Frixel. This card I would never play more than one of it. It's not a starter. It's just good in weird scenarios. Um, it's even better in the branded version because this is one of the main cards that lets you summon Albion. It is the main card that allows you to do that, and then you can still set one from the deck. But this card, as good as a one of, I do side it out a lot because it's not a starter, and going second, it could be even worse. But I think it's worthy at least as a one of, and it's another spellcaster. Next, we have one Urgula. I don't like to play more than one of this because it's bricky, just like Pan. When you're already playing three Pan, you don't want to have more than one of this, but you do want this mainly for when you use the Rahu and you send this, and then you use this to get back a Femina. And it can destroy a spell trap on the field, which comes up sometimes. One Cartesia. I do not. I used to play three of it, but I think this card you can draw multiples of it, and then it's just bad in a lot of scenarios. So, but one of it's a spellcaster. You can use it to. You can use this card um, to make your what's it called, the Artemis Magistus Link one, like, because it takes a spellcaster. You can also make the Blue Eyes Link with this, and then the effect to be able to add back in the end phase. It comes up. You because you're playing one of it, you're not going to see this card very often, but it's for consistency purposes. Sometimes you're not going to see Lucius, so this would be a better option, and a lot of times it could be even a better option than Malulu because this is the Magistus version. Um, Magistus, obviously, one Crowley. Crowley, I love this card. I love the Zoroya fusion that you can make with it. Having an extra monster negate that can also destroy a card on the field is a lot more threatening than the generic Dracotail board. The branded version of this deck is good as well, but I haven't tested it enough, and maybe I might try it one week and see how it goes. But I love the Magistus version, and it's going to get even better when we get the support. One Magnemite. I used to not play this as well, but I do like it because, for one, Magnema is um, it's good in situations that you maybe you don't think of until you're in game. So like Yummy, let's say you out one of their monsters, but then they have another way to get another one on the field, and then they go for the link. They try to get the field spell, and then they target a dark or light Yummy in the grave, which they're all light, I think. Um, and let's say you have Magnum, then you can stop that play. So it can be really good in that scenario, and then just other random decks. Sometimes like even like Dracotail Mirror, they might send Malulu and want to add it back, and then you can banish it with this, and they don't get to add it back with Arthalion, and then you can add any dragon during the end phase. So I think it's worth it. Druis Worm, I don't main it, I don't side it. You could. I think that if you did play it, it would be more of a side card because Druis Worm is kind of like a board breaking card where when he goes to the graveyard, you can send a monster. And then from there, we just have the hand traps. Three Fuwalos. Fuwalos, it's good. It's just a good card. It's one of the best hand traps right now. I think you have to main deck it. If your opponent doesn't have Ash for it, you're at least getting one draw in most games. 3 Ash to stop Fuwalos, and there's some other cards that you can use Ash on, especially like in the Mirror Key 2. It's a good card to Ash, and you can Ash the traps. You can also Ghost Spell all of the Dracotail traps. This card is good against the Yummy Field spell. It can be good against Metsu because it can stop prayers. It can stop any of the Metsus in the graveyard from coming back. I think this card is great and definitely worth playing at 3 right now. And then we have 3 Nib. I play Nib and then I also play Veilers because this, even the only deck that this it doesn't really hurt that much. Um, it just, depending on what kind of follow up they have, can be like Metsu, Yummy, or Yummy in general. But normally a Veiler and a Nib will get you it'll get you pretty far if you have these two. And when you're playing Fuelos, you have an even higher chance of drawing these. I think Nib and in effect Veiler are just. I think these are good cards. Another thing about Veiler in this version is that it is a spellcaster. So and just Dracotail in general, um, you can use Veiler with one of your dragons and make your Secretarion dragon. So it's and then if I have to, I've never done it, but you can normal summon this and make the Magistus link. Let's say I just had enough to be able to do the whole combo, um, where you get all of you get the Gulamel, the Arthalion, and the Negate, and I just needed to have a spellcaster for that Magistus. You can normal summon Veiler. And then, one of the greatest things about this deck is that you can use hand traps going first from your hand and then add them back with Arthalion, which I think is one of the strong points for Dracotail. That's it for the monsters. Mainly monsters in the deck because you need them to fuse. So no King of the Swamps. I don't the card is okay, but I don't. Especially in like a pure version, but in this version, I don't think it's needed. It can be a dead card a lot of the time, and then if you discard it to add poly, then you lose a monster. I just it's not something that I want to play. I also used to play the Fright for cards, but they can also just kind of clog. And I think my last build I was playing Droplet. I am not playing that now. It's not a terrible card. Maybe you could even side it, but um, because it's a spell, it can mess up your plays sometimes. It's not a monster that you can fuse with. And then the rest of the cards in the deck are pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. We have the only spells in the entire deck, which shows how important the monsters are. We have just 3 Kitu, 3 Rahu. No other spells. You don't need anything else. You just need these. You can play other cards like Droplet, but you don't really need anything else. And then the only traps is the Horn and the Flame. I do not main the new card, the Sting, because it's not that great against a lot of matchups. And usually, if you have these two and you have a board, you have enough most of the time. Even if they, Ash or Bell one of these. I do side the Sting, but I think 3 traps in the main deck is a little much, especially for a deck that really wants to use monsters. Uh, so that's it for the main deck, 40 cards. Let's go into the extra deck. The extra deck we have Spirit with Eyes of Blue. You use this to make Sills. Artemis. Um, this is for the combo where you can get to Zoroa. We have Seal. Honestly, I hardly ever do the Seal line, but I think it's worth it in case you get in a situation where you think it might just be a better option. Um, SP, SP is just a good card generally. Um, if you know, there's a lot of weird scenarios where you might just need to make an SP. I think it's good to have it. It's not. It's definitely not something that it's not required in the deck. I don't even know if I summoned it one time on Saturday, but I just know like if you take this out, there's going to be a moment where you're gonna say, "I wish I had SP Little Knight." We have Magistus Chorozo. This is the card that allows you to do the combo where basically if you get Arthalion and Gulamel on the field with the Magistus Link 1, you can send off the Arthalion and the Gulamel for this. you equip the maiden to this, and then you use the maiden effect because it is equipped to the Chorozo to add the Crowley from Dex. Summon the Crowley, send these two off for the Zeroa. Then you can, because two monsters went to the grave, you can bring back your Arthalion and your Gulamel. It can be nibbed. If so, like if you get to this guy, they can nib you, or if they wait for the Crowley, they can nib you there, and then you have a nib and you have a token, and then you can still summon back your two monsters. So it's not the end of the world because two monsters are going to the grave regardless of what happens. But if they don't have nib, then you get a monster negate. Invoke Kaliga, Floodgate monster. This card, you need to have a Crowley in the graveyard after that first play that I just mentioned, and then a Malulu, and then if you have those two, and you have a Femina, you can make Kaliga on the opponent's turn, and then it's a lot. It's pretty much a lock monster. Speaking of locks, I do play one Winda. I don't main deck Shaddoll Fusion, but I do side one copy with Thrust. So Winda is one of the monsters that you can make with Shaddoll Fusion. Normally that's not what you're making going second though. This is more of a card that sometimes when it's game 3, and depending on the deck and the scenarios, I like to keep Beast in the main deck. The one Shaddoll Beast that's in the side, and then I will, if I open that Beast, then and I have Femina and another dark monster like Malulu or maybe Magnuma, something like that, then I can make Winda on the opponent's turn, and Winda on the opponent's turn going first can be devastating. But that doesn't happen very often, but because it's so good when it does, it's worth it playing it. And sometimes there might be rare scenarios where you want to make this with Shaddoll Fusion, but normally you're going to make Apkalone. Apkalone, obviously, you send Beast, send Genius, or you could send like a Shaddoll Dragon if you prefer that. I prefer the draw, but Shaddoll Dragon, a Genius, and summon this, and then basically you get to negate a card on the field, destroy a spell or trap, and then negate another card with a Genius. And then when this goes to the grave, you can add a Shaddoll card if you have something left to add. This card is pretty good. I never, I was siding in the Shaddoll Fusion in matchups, but I never really got in a scenario where I was able to summon these guys. But I just think they're good in theory. Do you have to play these? Absolutely not. It's just something that I prefer to do, and I might not even do it forever. 3 Arthalions. You need to play 3. There's no question. 1 Gulamel. A lot of builds are playing 2 of this now, probably because I can understand it. You know this card gets banished sometimes, and people think you might only be on 1 of it, so they'll just get rid of it, and then you don't have another one. So I've been considering putting it to 2, but it's not something that is required. Secretarion Dragon. You need this for the mirror, and it's just good as a follow-up card. A Wasp, or whatever this thing's name is. You can make this with a Magistus and a Spellcaster. Basically, it has a quick effect to equip to a monster on the field, and then you take control of it. So it can be an interruption, something else that you can summon if you've already summoned Zeroa and you have Crowley and another Spellcaster. And then Zeroa is this is the main reason I even play this variant. If this card didn't exist, I would not be playing it because this card is not good enough to warrant playing Crowley. But Zeroa is a monster negate, and it's worth it. And then like if it actually survives, you can use it to equip an effect monster to it. That's it for the extra deck. The side deck, I'm not going to show it, mainly just because I do think side deck is there's a lot of preference in side deck building, and it also Really depends on what you think you might play at your locals. So I just say build your side deck according to how your locals is, what type of decks people are playing, and um, your preference. You might have a lot of Malus players at your local, so you need to side Lancia. I don't see that many. At least I don't know of many people playing it at my local, so I don't side Lancia. But if there's a lot of Malus players, you might need it, or you would want to side it. Some people prefer things like Perulia, Meows. There's so many cards you can side that it's just I just say it's up to the player what they want to play in the side deck. I'll just say some cards that like I mentioned, I did side the Jodiff Fusion, the Thrust, Talents, Called by the Grave for when I go first, so I can try to stop a hand trap. Um, Trying to think what else was in the side. I can't even remember. Let me take a look here. D barrier, yeah, D barrier is a great card right now. I highly recommend signing that. Dracotail Sting, I do side that when I go first. I put it in, just as another trap card, to be able to set and another trap to draw and use on the opponent's turn. Um, Harvey's Feather Duster, the Psy-frames, I kind of like them, especially like Gamma's at 1. You're not going to draw it very often, but if like if you go second and you try to activate like a key 2 or something like that, and then the opponent tries to do like a retaliating C, or if you go first and they have retaliating C, they chain that to your key 2 or your Rahu, and you have Gamma, it's devastating because you're getting 2 free monsters. Um, Delta can negate spells, which is really good against like Metsu and the Mirror. And then like Dark Ruler No More, you can add that with Thrust. So just those are some options. But like I said, there's plenty of cards you can play in the side deck. So just build it based on the decks that are at your locals and your preferences. That's pretty much it. I am open to any comments or suggestions, any changes that you think I should make about the deck. So just if you have any comments about the deck at all, please let me know in the comments. And thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.